Hello and welcome to our Make-A-Wish Foundation Roll for Wishes charity event. Open the gates. We have with us Game Master Liam, Bob as Deacon Bryant, Thomas as Brother Tobias, Zach as Brother Dunwin, and special guest David Larkins from Chaosium Games as Brother Aiden. With that, I'm going to hand things over to Liam. Before I do so, one last thing. If you roll, or if you type exclamation point, roll for wishes in the stream, you'll see that you can find a link for where to donate. And our goal is $500 across these streams. So looking forward to seeing where we get to in the goal. And with that, I will officially hand over to Liam.
Thank you, everybody. And also thank you, Bob. Yeah, welcome to Open the Gates. I was going to have everybody do a little introduction themselves, but actually Bob took care of that. So I think we'll go right in if everybody's ready. Is everybody ready?
I'm down. Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. A fog rolls in the early hours of the morning. The sounds of nature, distant but ever present, fade, as they often do, when large convoys of men travel to and from the Abbey of St. Martin's in Silchester. For the last 6 days, guests and envoys from all over the Isles have started to arrive in preparations for the disputation. Tonight, a deacon of Rome, one of the Pope's personal emissaries, will arrive, and tomorrow he will decide if a pagan can ever be recognized as king of Christian lands. These are the things that come in the future, however. And these are the things obscured by the fog. And I would like to start us off with Brother Tobias. Thomas, will you describe Brother Tobias as he wakes up early in the morning on his way to morning prayers?
I would love to. Brother Tobias wakes up earlier even than the crow of the rooster. And as he sits up out of his simple bed, nothing more than a bedroll upon stone, he stands. He's 27 years old, so he's no spring chicken. Obviously damn near middle-aged in these times, with a very willowy but kind of stocky build in the way that most Kimri are. His black hair is shaved in a tonsure. It's been shaved quite recently, and his brown eyes catch the dawning dawn light. He is a crutal monk?
Yes, Crutal.
He's a crutal monk, so he lives very simply, and it takes him mere moments to get dressed, as all he does is throw on some underclothes and a simple brown russet cloak. He is intentionally living very, very simply in a style of intentional poverty.
As you kind of make your way out, the dormitories pass through the rather large gardens on the ground of St. Martin. There are a few monks who have already started their early morning chores, the stuff that they do just before dawn, but right before everybody funnels into the two chapels. There has been a slight change to how morning prayers have done since guests have started to arrive. The Abbey of St. Martin's is larger than a lot of abbeys that are this out of the way usually would be. And even with that, there's enough people staying here that aren't usually here that they actually do mass in a couple different phases. They have 2 little chapels, and they do 2 sets of mass back to back after that. You're going to be in the first mass. As you make your way through the gardens, you end up sat next to someone that you know who is also from this abbey. Brother Dunwin, would you like to describe yourself, Zach?
Sure. Brother Dunwin is very much an outdoorsman. He does a lot of the chores and the wood gathering, the wood cutting that needs to be done to keep the church warm. He is tanned, being outside all the time. He also sports a lot of old scars. He is quite tall, but not exactly well built, a bit lanky. It seems like he also has to shave quite a bit. His hair grows very fast. And it seems this morning, as he sits, he's actually shaving a few hairs that he must have missed in the early darkness. When he sees his fellow brother approach, he'll scoot over a bit and grumble a greeting. He's not very much a morning person, but he still, for some reason, does most of his work in the early morning.
Brother Dunwin, it is good indeed to see you. The difference in size is immediately noticeable, as well as strength. Brother Tobias is the newly appointed librarian of the Abbey, and he rarely lifts anything heavier than books.
Brother Tobias, and there's just a nod. Like, there's important things to do, like getting these last few hairs. Dunwin is not so much a book nerd as his fellow brother. Actually, he's not really good at reading at all. He can read, just takes him a bit.
I think one of the other monks kind of elbows Brother Tobias as the mass is starting to begin, and all are supposed to be very quiet. It passes normally. The deacon responsible shifts his conversation at a certain point. It says, Jesus said, "Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven." When the old woman placed her 2 pennies upon the pile, Jesus told her that she was holier than all the rich men who gave, because she gave all that she had. This was not an aspiration. It was not something to be prided. It was shameful. Not that the woman was willing to give everything she had, but that the rich men weren't. This is a cycle we must remember, as a great deal of wealthy individuals, both from the greater church, knights and lords who will be visiting, even emissaries from kings and bishops, will be staying with us for the next few days. Treat them with compassion and love, but do not forget, it is better to give all that you have than very little. As the 2 of you filter out from Mass, you guys have chores for the rest of the day. Normally, until midday meal, normally you would have a standard set of things. As you said, Zach Dunwin would be doing a lot of outdoorsman stuff. Tobias, you tend the library. However, since guests have started to arrive, things have been a little bit more chaotic. You've had double duties. You've had to take care of all the things you must normally while also accommodating for the guests. One of those guests is Deacon Bryant. Deacon Bryant is a well-known protege of the Bishop Decius, who is the Bishop of Corinium. When you find Decius, he has just arrived with his... when you find Bryant, he has just arrived with his supplies, his materials that he needs to stay here for a few days. Bryant, would you like to describe yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. So Bryant is dressed in the robes of the Roman Church, but he is not overly done. Part of that is because his position as deacon would not allow it, and partly because he is very, actually famously modest. So he only has with him what he needs. He is a man in his 40s. He looks like he maybe was fine-featured once upon a time, but the graying of his blonde hair and the wrinkling of his face has perhaps sped past his mere mid-40s. Looks like he's perhaps more like 50 in the face, perhaps from stress. He stands with good posture, but even at his tallest, he is much shorter than your average knight, size 11, as he moves in with his personal effects and clothes for the amount of time he is to be here. No servant carries his things.
No servant yet, but as the brothers approach, Brother Tobias will say, Deacon Bryant, it is an honor to welcome you to Abbey. May I take your effects?
If you don't mind, I'm happy to carry them myself. Brother Tobias, I'm Deacon Bryant. He pauses. It's back to you.
Was that to introduce Brother Dunwood, or was that a separate thing?
Sorry, did I cut out?
No. It just wasn't clear which of us you were talking to.
If it was to Dunwin, he misses it. He's like watching Tobias for a response, and he kind of blinks for a second and gives a small bow of the head. Brother Dunwin, it is wonderful to meet you, Deacon.
He looks back at his stuff and says, is everything fare well with you all? I hope.
Busier than usual, but, well, it does break the routine that is familiar and customary to us, but God grants us all challenges that we rise to meet.
That he does. Well, I would appreciate it, Brother Tobias, if you could show me to where I will be staying. I'm familiar with many of the monasteries, but not this one.
Very well. Please, we have organized it so it should be befitting a man of your status, even off the cloth. And presumably I know where that is. As Brother Tobias, like arms joined together in his robe like this, begins to turn and lead him towards the Abbey quarters.
As you do, both Tobias and Dunwin would recognize the abbot of St. Martin's. Cerberus is on his way over towards you, and there's a little bit of a hurry in his step. Cerberus is an old man. He's got a bad scar on his face from his time as a knight before he retired. It goes up his upper lip and all the way through to his ear in a way that leaves bits of chunks of flesh missing. It's been enough years that it's healed into something that's not as grisly as it definitely once was. But you know him to be overall a pretty mild-tempered and not cautious, but gentle in how he carries himself. The fact that he's walking as fast as he is a sign that he needs something getting done. As he steps over, he goes, Brother Tobias, Brother Dunwin, and you must be Bryant. Is that right?
That is correct.
Welcome you to the Abbey of St. Martin's. You'll forgive my hesitation. There have been quite a few guests over the last few days, and I've taken to try to memorize as many of them as possible. I am currently under half successful, but that is all that it can be. Brother Dunwin, I was hoping I could speak to you for a moment. Don't let me interrupt your escortation, Tobias.
Of course, indeed. There are interesting things about memorization. It is said that many of the pagan faith lay a stone on their belly and a cloth above their head as he will continue to escort Bryant.
Dunwin just gives a look towards the abbot like, yes, let's go now before it's too late.
As he takes you back towards the actual abbotry, he speaks a little bit hushed, and he goes, There's something I'd like you to look into for me, but there's too much to do at the moment. Bishop Roger is supposed to arrive within the hour from Salisbury, and, well, also some emissaries from Ireland. And I would like you to be the one to greet them. I hear that Father Lohan from Ireland and Bishop Roger are both unorthodox in their temperament. I think someone who's well-grounded would suit them well.
Dunwin kind of gives a small grumble more to himself as he thinks over, and he says, I'm not one to question, but I'm not the best with introductions and greetings. You know this, but I will do my best, of course. But Ireland, he gets caught on the idea and suddenly switches. Didn't know we were
Indeed.
getting friends from so far.
The missions have been successful over there. I'm not exactly sure how they're able to stay without any military presence, but yeah, I suppose that'll be conversation for supper. I know you're not the best at these sorts of things, but I believe that we strengthen our souls and strengthen our minds the same way we strengthen our bodies through practice. That's why we do what we do here at the Abbey. And also, if there was anyone else available, I would have asked them first.
Ah, I see. Dunwin nods. Not too sure how to take that, but he's stuck between a rock and a hard place on that. He'll continue and say, I'll make the preparations and make sure that the rooms are well made. Is there a time they'll be arriving?
Well, who knows with the way travel is these days. The chaos in these lands has made all things unpredictable, but I doubt anyone will attack men of the cloth, especially not such obvious and notable ones. Regardless, just be prepared, continue with your normal chores, and as soon as they are well situated, come and find me quietly.
They attack anyone on the road these days, and Dunwin kind of breathes in deep and looks off towards the outer parts of the Abbey.
It's not very long at all that you have to wait before Father Lowen and another monk alongside him enter into the front gates. Strangely, they just kind of walk in. They don't wait to be greeted. They immediately start moving towards where the dormitories are. David, would you like to describe Brother Aiden here for me?
Certainly. Yeah, so the younger of the two draws the most attention because he is towering over his traveling companion, and indeed probably most of the monks here. He is very tall, broad-shouldered, his indigo robes straining at his frame almost. Like, this was the best they could do in terms of putting together some robes that would fit him. He almost gives off an air of someone who maybe should have been a knight, but somehow ended up in this line of work. I think the other notable thing about both of us would be our tonsures, which are not in the tradition of these southern lands, but more kind of like just the back of the head gets shaved and there's just a big, sort of tangle of hair on the crown. And mine in particular is a sort of a darker shade of red with pretty extensive freckling across my face.
Must be the fashion up north.
Must be.
I believe more against his better judgment, it almost happens naturally. I think Dunwin will follow the pair and not immediately approach or call out. He kind of will step in their shadow, so to speak. Not like right up behind them, but following them, because it seems like they know where they're going. And it kind of perks his curiosity.
Well, strangely, as you follow them, they don't go directly to the guesting homes. The first place they go is the dormitories, where the regular monks that live here tend to sleep. Why don't you give me an awareness check here to eavesdrop a little bit?
Ah, yes, he is actually good at that. I got a 4, which is under
That's the
16.
pass.
So.
Yeah. Father Lowen turns to Aiden and he goes, "Right there, boy. That's where I was kept when I was out here. It was a long time ago, those days. It's happy to see this old, tired ruin again."
Was it as big then as it is now, Father?
"Oh, it felt much bigger, but I was much smaller. But you're much bigger than I was, so it probably feels smaller still. It doesn't matter. Either way, I used to pull pranks right over there. I tipped over a pail of ale. Was not supposed to be there. Dumped it all over the robes of the current abbot. Oh, he was a dreadful old man, but let me tell you, he had a heart of a lion, and strange looking back on days long since past. Never thought I'd feel homesick for a place that wasn't my home."
So I'm just kind of looking around and taking it all in. Despite Father Lowen's, maybe minimizing a little bit, it's still pretty impressive to me. I don't think they build them like this where I come from.
No, definitely not. The missionaries, the missions that are there are impressive because they have to be, but not in the same way. This, in a weird way, the Abbot of St. Martin's feels almost leisurely in its construction. It felt like they took their time with the materials and what's there to make it as comfortable as possible, a sentiment that would not be shared by most of the people who spend time here regularly. Why don't you give me an awareness check as well, David?
Let's see, my awareness is a whopping 5, so I missed. Rolled a 10.
I think for a moment you get a little prickle on the back of your neck that implies to you that you get the sensation of being watched, but you can't. When you look around, you don't spot the person who's looking at you. That being said, Brother Dunwin, you definitely see Aiden looking around. So he's something is tricky for him.
This is the time to raise a welcoming hand and step forward and call out, "Father Lowen."
Oh, hello there, brother.
Welcome. I believe that I am to greet you here at our doorstep. It's been a while since you've been here, perhaps?
You've picked out an old nostalgia on me already. Yes, when I was a boy, I spent some time studying here before I was ordained properly. Let me introduce to you my ward. I don't think ward's the right word. Hi, lad. This is my boy.
My protege.
My protege. This is Brother Aiden.
Oh, give a nod. Pleasure to meet you.
It is great to meet you as well, Brother Aiden. I am Brother Dunwin, and, well, I'm sure you'll be meeting many new faces here, some old for the father, but we have plenty here. St. Martin's welcomes you. There are going to be many guests. I must say the preparations have been quite daunting, but God does provide. Do you need me to show you to your rooms? I'm surprised. And he kind of gestures towards the dormitories and then towards the resting rooms where they're supposed to be going. It is clear that the father has been here before, but...
Sorry, I had to burp. He smiles and he goes, "Oh, well, I still feel quite comfortable stretching my legs and revisiting old wounds, but if Aiden, you would wish to be seen to his place and so we can set our things down, that would be just fine. Then, of course, we'd both like to volunteer for whatever work needs to be done around grounds. I understand that the inflection of new bodies means that you're always understaffed. I remember how it was back in my day."
I'm sure we can handle this, but if you wish to assist, would never turn you down. Brother Dunwin looks down to his own hands. They are calloused and they've seen a lot of work. But Brother Hayden, if you would follow me, please, I can show you where you two will be staying.
Of course. Father, let me carry your things to the dormitory.
"Oh, I won't allow that. You just take care of your own things, lad, and make sure to breathe in as much of the British air as you can. We might not get another whiff for a long, long time.
Right? I'll heft my stuff. For context, Aiden is 6'4" and 200 pounds. So I could probably carry you.
I think
That's
Dunwin
all.
might be the only, like, one of the only people here that would compete with that,
Yeah.
even at
But-
all.
Well, yeah, I mean, Dunwin's tall. Like, he might be nearing 6 foot, but he's not like well built. He's lanky.
No.
I mean, he's got that stringy meat to him where he you can tell he puts in some work outside, but he's not lifting
Farm
weights
boy.
or anything.
Farm boy build.
Yeah, farm boy. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
If you guys are comfortable moving on, I think what we'll do is we'll do a little bit of a montage of the next few hours. The work is hard. Done when you don't end up having really an opportunity to go and see the abbot. It's too much. People keep coming, and a different monk tracks you down and goes, "Hey, so can you help me with this?" And "Hey, can you help me with that?" The most notable folks to arrive within those first couple hours, of course, Bishop Roger from Sarum, quite a few Saxons from the different Saxon kingdoms, which have been respectfully asked to camp inside the walls of the abbotry, but away from the other guests. And there is also a representative from Wales, Father Conbilians, who is relatively unknown figure. The only thing that you know about him is that he is from Wales and that he is here representing Welsh interests.
Do you have the spelling of that name? Because I am not going to get it right.
I do.
For my notes.
And I said it wrong too. Cunobilinos. Cunobilinos.
Oh,
It's
that-
Cuno.
That's
Who
simple.
doesn't care? B.
Belinos. Sorry again, Bob. Sorry.
Perfect.
I was just saying, that simplifies it. A Welsh name. Easy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have dyslexia as well, so the names are
Oh,
definitely.
no.
I actually went through and I wrote out pronunciation guides for all of these except for that one, because that one didn't have one. They were like, "Yeah, we have no idea how to say this either."
Right now. Thank you. Sorry about that.
Tobias and Bryant, as it gets close to midday meals, I think the two of why don't you now you have restricted books in your library that you're not supposed to show anybody, only you have access to. Do you, if provided the opportunity, start showing off the unrestricted books to Bryant?
The unrestricted books? Yes. He's proud of the collection, but he's not proud enough to go, "Look, a Goetic text." That'll get a whole heap of people in trouble, not just him. But he'll probably say, "And is it in the nature of those who can have an enhanced memory," continuing the conversation, you don't know when it's stopped or starts again. He says, "Does the soul, in fact, pertain to one's memory, one's experiences? Well, these philosophical texts..."
I like. Has Tobias stopped talking much since he first introduced himself to Bryant?
Perhaps there are moments of silent contemplation, perhaps asked for by Bryant, but Tobias, the interest in memory, by interest I mean Tobias's specifically, based on what the abbot said, has led him on a very long tangent. And if you pass people who are of this abbey, their long-suffering looks that they give to Deacon Bryant will probably tell you that this is not an unusual occurrence. He is a very bright person, but also a pedant par excellence.
One could say blindingly bright.
I think Brian's, polite the whole time. You know what? I'm going to make a courtesy rule. Let's see.
Hell yes.
Oh, fumble.
Oh, hey. Tell me.
Wow.
So fumble on courtesy, our first fumble of the campaign. Go ahead. How are you going to hurt his feelings right now?
I think he listens as patiently as he can for about 15, 20 minutes. And after a point, he says, Brother Tobias, it would probably be worthwhile every once in a while to socialize outside of this kind of framework, perhaps less about books and things that interest you directly and more about, well, getting to know other people. Because honestly, it is kind of like he starts to like fall off with this. This is very dull. You're being very dull. Forgive me for saying.
I will roll my forgiving.
Yeah.
Monk fight.
10 out of 12. It is in our nature for us to forgive. I think like you see a moment where he like gasps, almost shocked at the directness, but there's a moment where he takes a breath and goes, I can understand that there are things that interest other people beyond the collection and the growth of knowledge, and I understand that perhaps your interests lie towards the more practical methods and the protection of the souls of the people of Logris. I understand. We can
Could we
speak of other things.
continue perhaps with the tour, if you don't mind?
Yes. Now, this edition was made in 367, and he begins again.
As you guys are starting that round of of education, we'll say, another monk steps in. Tobias, you would recognize him as Brother Maricus. He is kind of an older fella who's been here for a long time. He steps in and kind of coughs a little bit and then makes his way further in the room. He goes, Tobias, where was that? The treatise on mixing honey with warm water. It was supposed to help with a dry lung.
I imagine I know where these kind of things are, yes?
Oh, yeah. In fact, you probably, knowing what you do about medicine, you actually know what he's talking about already.
Indeed. Oh, indeed. I could provide you the instruction, but the treatise itself is third shelf from the entrance, second row down. It is among the medicinal texts. I keep them well stocked, he says to Deacon Bryant, in case those in need of healing come to the Abbey.
Very wise.
This fog, it's an ache in my bones. I don't sit right with me, all the Saxons that are on the grounds. It's a bad omen, having so many pagans.
On that we can agree, but we must provide shelter where we can. And this is a conversation that will pertain to many within the Isles, even those who are newly arrived.
Indeed. Oh, quite a few of them. Most of them from Wessex, and the other one, the port one, what do they call it? I'm so confused by the different directions. Doesn't make any sense.
He says.
The port one is called port.
It's both a man and a place.
Saxons, I'll never understand them. Say, Tobias, you aren't talking the good deacon's ear off here, are you? I know you're relatively new to your position here as librarian, and that comes with a great deal of excitement.
I may have been speaking beyond the good deacon's tolerance, mayhaps, and for that I apologize.
Ha! Oh, forgive him then, deacon. He's a passionate boy, and we love him dearly for it. In fact, I am quite sad that he rose to his position because of the death of our previous librarian. God rest his soul.
Quite so. He was a great mentor to me.
When did he pass?
About a month and a half ago. It was quite sudden. He was an old man, but, well. And he kind of looks to Tobias as if hoping that Tobias will speak more on it.
Yes, Tobias will frown in memory and will say, "One night, he was not there for morning prayers, and when we checked his room, we found him dead in his bed."
Real pity that. Real pity.
A peaceful way
That's
to go,
not-
I suppose.
And he
Would
is
have
with
been-
God now.
Would have been peaceful were it not for the twigs.
Like, I think Tobias raises an eyebrow as well.
This is the first you've heard about this.
The twigs?
Did they not tell you?
No, I don't believe so. And like there's definitely like two pieces of Brother Tobias's mind. One is, what on earth is going on and why wasn't I told? And the other thing is new information. And so the latter is, I don't believe I was. What twigs?
There's a look on his face that immediately reads to you as, oh, I fucked up. Where there was an assumption that everybody was on the same page, and now that he's realized that that was not the case, he's realizing that he might have just spilled something that wasn't supposed to be open knowledge. You see him kind of consider for a moment, and then he smiles and he goes, "Oh, brother, but well, they found dirt in his bed."
I see.
Like,
He
great
was
deal of dirt.
a remarkably fastidious man. I do not believe he would leave things so unkempt. Do you know who else I can speak to about this?
Well, that's in God's hands, not mine. On that note, I think my throat's feeling better, so I am going to leave. Good day. I will see you at midday meal.
The Lord be with you.
Very well, and with you as well. And know that the truth unburdens the soul as much as omission and lies may burden it.
Don't like that. Goodbye. The two of you are left alone. You can hear speaking from outside the library. Just outside the library window is where the guest houses are, and just beyond that is where the Saxons are tenting. You can hear foreign speak coming from out there, even from this distance. It's not super far, but again, the normal sounds of wildlife that come in this area have faded, as they often do when there's lots of people coming back and forth.
Most curious. I apologize, Deacon Byron, that you come in not just such a busy time, but a time when I have discovered that there is something peculiar about, well, the events of the past months. I'm certain it is nothing as well. All is probably well. Everything's fine.
Fear not, brother. I will not stick my nose where it's not wanted.
I'm glad to hear it, Deacon Bryant, though I do not know why this information is not wanted in the first place. You don't need to be a greatly empathic man of the cloth to know that he is going to stick his nose where it is not wanted. But he will say to Deacon Bryant as he looks out the window, "How do you feel about the sheer morass of pagans here in close proximity to good Christian lands?"
I did grow up in Salisbury, and there was still a considerable amount of pagans in the land, even though it was primarily full of Christians. Even so, things seem to be moving the way they ought to. But I do draw a distinction between Britons and others. Britons and invaders. Britons
Indeed.
and Saxons. His eyes kind of narrow a little bit as he looks out the window, or maybe just in the direction of where the Saxon camps were.
We are all men, made equal under God. But they who know of God and cast him aside for their pagan idols. There are matters of distinction, both political and religious, and existential in many ways.
Indeed. Well, does that complete the tour?
It does, unless, of course, you would like to see the remainder of the books. There are some that are not
I will
permitted
pass,
for
thank you.
outsiders. However, I understand. I'm glad you're picking up exactly what I'm putting down.
As the bell rings for midday meal, now normally midday meal would be eaten in complete silence, where no monks are allowed to speak to each other. You would just listen to the abbot or someone that the abbot designates to read passages from the Bible or other holy texts while you eat in silence with hand signals only. However, that particular restriction has been waived due to the great influx of new faces that they want talking and integrating with each other and discussing things. So the four of you find yourself seated at the same spot on the table. Father Lowen has been asked to sit closer to the abbot as they discuss something way down further on the table. And Dunwyn, you still haven't had an opportunity to see the abbot. It's just been a mess today. No Saxons or other pagans have been invited to have supper with, or have a midday meal with you as well.
I think Win is a little antsy, taking peeks down the table towards the abbots, but not seeing a good time to really get in there without disturbing or being disrespectful. So he'll sit down with his plate of food. He's probably been walking around or doing chores or preparing with Brother Aiden, I would assume, more often than not. And as he sits, he says, "So, you're from Ireland, Brother Aiden. How's that like?"
Cold, damp.
Ah, we have some of the damp here and some of the cold.
I love it nonetheless. I find your lands pleasant, certainly, but lacking a certain charm, if you don't mind me saying so.
Charm? Well, I probably not too much charm here in particular. We are a modest folk. How's the food? And he taps his plate with a fork.
Oh, comparable. I mostly get by on rye bread and small ale, Typical fare.
Indeed. In fact, I'll actually, for everybody's notes, most of what you guys eat are really high quality breads and fruits with occasional fish. You don't do meat very often. You don't do cheese very often. And you supplement basically every meal with beer.
Fun
will
fact
say-
I was recently reminded of is beaver tail counts as fish because it looks scaly.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
I guess it's kind of aquatic, maybe.
Yeah, as long as it looks like a fish, it counts. So, porpoise
fair.
meat too.
If we attach a fish to the cockatrice, would that would that make the whole thing fish? Would that count?
In defiance of God, we eat this beef.
All right. Sorry. Please continue.
You're
yeah.
you're still quite young. Once you get a few more years like myself, everything tastes good.
Oh, for me, it's not a matter of taste. It's a matter of what fills my belly and gives me enough strength to get through the day,
Sure, but it's always a bonus when it tastes good. When the cooks are doing a splendid job and the fields are plentiful spices. And you can see that Dunwyn sort of reminisces perhaps on some better foods that he's had in the past that aren't involved in any abbotry.
Mm-hmm. I've heard that some monks will fake illness in these sorts of monasteries so that they get the mutton stew more often. I don't suppose that sort of thing goes on around here, though.
Certainly not. No, I've never done this particular thing with the mutton stew. Perhaps other abbotries, perhaps at the other St. Martin locations. I haven't been to many. This is my only one. I haven't had many travels after arriving here. I joined quite late in life, so not
I
too
see.
experienced on the road.
I will note that for Tobias as well, that is something that rings true. Dunwyn joined in the last 10 years, and he was already, obviously well into his 30th decade. His 30th decade. He's 300 years old.
I am a vampire, don't worry.
Ooh,
I
what a
suspected
twist.
his necromancer with those twigs and dirt. Yeah.
Yeah, you do know that Dunwyn joined the Abbey pretty late, and it was this Abbey that he joined.
Indeed. Brother Tobias, for his part, will join in the conversation, perhaps taking a little more enjoyment than he should about the censure on speaking being waived. But you will note that on his tray there is only bread and there is only water, having forgone many of the other supplements, at least for this day. And he will say, "Indeed, and we are grateful indeed to have had Brother Dunwyn. I have been in this bishopric and this abbey for nearly my entire life, since my 10th name day. But it is a pleasure to meet you, Brother Adam."
A pleasure to meet you as well, and I always enjoy meeting a fellow waterman. And I raise my cup of water to you.
Quite so, in a kind of toast, but none of the joy.
Right? Yeah, very grim.
Life of the party, right?
That's right.
Quite
Yeah,
so.
I'm trying to figure out how to balance being notably worldly and notably temperate at the same time.
Sometimes you
Quite
just
so.
don't like to party.
That's
Sometimes
right.
you care a lot, but you don't like to party.
Wave your hands like you care a great deal. But Brother Tobias will say, "Indeed so. I, like many of the Crutal monks, take a joy and a paradoxical pride in humbling ourselves. But I know that, at the very least, every ounce of ale that I do not drink goes to either a monk or one of the many surrounding villages that will drink some, in the absence of clean, fresh water."
Very good.
And I'm on kind of a different spectrum, but I believe that if you don't understand the sin fully, then there's no saving others from it. And he will raise his mug of ale and take a sip.
Men are all sinful, it is true. And in so understanding, one can learn to shepherd their souls better. But in many ways, this understanding can be bolstered through the use of books and reading from the works of philosophers who have...
Brian jokes a little bit as he starts in again.
Oh no, are you well? I am learned with the Heimlich.
Do you need the beef stew?
Please, drink this water.
It's worth noting, too, Brian does have beer in front of him and a modest amount of bread, the same that most of the others have.
But
If
oh, yeah, sorry, you go.
if everybody's done with midday meal, I think we can give Dunwyn an opportunity to actually go and see the abbot now.
I think that'll be fun.
Dunwyn, now obviously the abbot wanted to speak to you kind of hush-hush, but are you enjoying the company of these other monks and a deacon enough to want to walk with them, like, to the abbot, to the actual abbotry, the abbot's quarters?
So when it comes to the abbot, Dunwyn does get a little antsy in doing what he says for undisclosed reasons. So he's going to try his best if he sees an opening to at least get a couple words in before making a leisurely way up to him or anything with the rest of the group.
That's a great idea. Why don't you give me a courtesy check and see if it goes noticed?
Oh, Dunwin is amazing at courtesy for sure. He has a 6. Let's see what he gets. 9. No, he does not. He does not make it.
That is a fail. Now, all of you guys, the rest of you, can notice that Dunwin kind of intrusively excuses himself if you choose to. Or if you want to make a roll to see if you crit and get something even better than that, you are welcome to. Obviously, that would mean that you could fumble or fail entirely as well.
I've got a courtesy of 13.
Oh,
I
sorry, it would
wonder
be
if
awareness.
Oh,
It would be
awareness. Got you.
Yeah.
My awareness isn't bad. Let's see if I can help my brother in his worldly and spiritual matters. 2 out of 15. Nothing special.
All right, yep, so no change on you. You definitely notice Dunwin exit himself a little ungraciously from the group. Does Bryant or Aiden want to make a roll, or do you just want to notice?
I mean, I've got a 5% chance of critical or fumble each. So, why not?
Awareness test?
Yes.
Just a simple fail.
Just a simple fail. All right.
Leaning in. Tell me more about these books you have.
Absolutely. His eyes gleam with an inner fire.
Ryan will stand and politely exit at that point.
Did you want to roll 2, Bob?
I failed with a 12.
Okay, so only Tobias notices, and even with that, he's probably too absorbed by someone showing interest in the books. So Dunwin, you get away nice and scot-free.
Yeah. There we go. Nerdy guy for the win. Just distract him. We planned this out. Probably. No, we didn't.
Don't worry. You are my brother, and I'm not a political guy.
As you go to meet the abbot, you actually find him in his quarters, which is pretty unusual for how busy the abbey is right now. Almost like he was expecting you before you even have a chance to knock. You hear him call out and he goes, "Come in, please, quickly."
He will shuffle in quite lightly on his feet for a monk. But Cerberus, I apologize for not coming sooner. I've been quite busy, but that's no excuse. We have Brother Aiden and Father Lola who have arrived. The latter seemed to know where he was going, as if he's been here before. I've never met the father, but he did decide on wandering alone a bit. I'm not sure what exactly you wanted me to keep an eye out for, but I did show Brother Aiden to the rooms and had them prepared.
There's a moment on his face where he's trying to put something together and he goes, "Owen, the Irish boy, yes. Huh. I was an initiate when he was here. I didn't realize it. Well, it doesn't matter, I suppose. I understand responsibilities have gotten away from all of us. It was, frankly, wishful thinking to assume that you would be able to make it to me in a reasonable time. But now that I've got you, I need to discuss something sensitive with you."
Of course, anything I can do to help, I'll do my best.
Early this morning, before everyone was up for their chores, something went missing from the reliquary. It was small, nothing of great importance. In fact, I can't seem to understand why it would have been taken in the first place, if it was taken at all. And I would like, if you'd be willing to, look into it as best you can, without raising any panic. If the Pope's representative is going to be here tonight, I'd rather him not think this place is some wreck of an abbey where our prized possessions go missing at the drop of a hat. Can you do that for me, Dunwin?
I believe I can. It wasn't a small, dull coin, a silver one, was it?
No.
Ah, good. Good. Now, what has gone missing?
A rosary. A small one, but one that has sentimental importance to the old abbot, the one that ran it before me. It's hand-carved wood with beads that have been made from stones from a nearby river. Beyond that, it has very little value over all the other items.
Dunwin furrows his brow, a bit confused as to why that in particular would be missing. He looks at the abbot. Is it meaningful to anyone else?
None that still live, none that haven't joined the kingdom of heaven. Yeah. But your guess is as good as mine as why that particular item is missing and nothing else is. Still, it is a loose end on a day where I am having trouble exerting control over God's creations. So I'm looking for every opportunity I can.
A rosary. If it's in the reliquary, it's important to everyone here. I'll find it. But Abbot, what do you want me to do if I find it in the possession of someone here?
Just come to me with it. I'll approach them. For now, I think it's important. We make sure that things remain as cool in temperature as they can be. Feel free to act in your discretion on this, Brother Dunwin. I don't want it spread around, but don't feel that you need to keep secrets if you think that it is unfair of you to do so as well.
I understand. I have a few trusted souls, I think, that can help.
Now, best get to it. There's still much to do. I am dreading the arrival of someone from Rome. This Britain must still feel like a backwater compared to the heights of the old empire.
From all the stories I've heard, probably yes. But they're here for a reason, right? A very important one.
Indeed. The debate taking place tomorrow will have effects not just throughout all of England. Not England. Don't know what an ingle is. Through all of Britain, but also the world. Should the Pope's representative deem a pagan acceptable for the role of king if he's elected by the Grand Collegium, then the title of king will feel less connected to God than it has been. Is it God's will to make something happen and to give something to a pagan in that way? I don't know, but opinions are going to be divisive, to say the least.
Very, very divisive, if I have heard some of the grumblings correctly. I've heard stories of what they've done to some of the priesthood over in the Saxon lands, or at least a long time ago.
It's a grim thought, but many things look grim when you aren't viewing them through the light of God. I'm taking up too much of your time. Please, go, shoot.
And Unwin will give a small bow before exiting. heading back to the table or wherever maybe the meal is complete.
Yeah, meals will be done by this point. You guys have study time right now. Typically, right now it's kind of a flex thing where it's either you're continuing to do chores during the afternoon or you are going to be copying basically pages from the Bible, just making new, you're either studying religious texts or you are copying actively to make new copies of the Bible. I think everybody else, Tobias is the only one who has a active job here, and his just overseeing. So for him, he's probably keeping towards the library, and the others are welcome to be hanging out there, or they can be somewhere else, whatever works best for them.
I think Bryant can be found kind of walking the grounds, observing at a distance the Saxons.
Perfect. I have something for you in a moment, but
Okay.
I'm going to see where David's going to be too.
Definitely the library, checking out what's on the shelves.
I wonder, no, you would definitely know how to read Latin because that's the language. That's the written
Sure.
language. Okay, before we get to Zach coming back in then to the library, Bob, I'm going to do something kind of silly here, and I'm going to ask you to make a recognized check plus 20.
I pass?
Yeah, I wonder what you'll roll.
And
Yeah, pass a crit.
with a plus 20? It's just a
Yes,
pass.
plus-
I don't have recognize on sheet.
Oh, that's right. You guys don't have recognize on there. Okay, well then, in that case, glad I gave you that plus 20 then.
Gave the plus 20 for the bit and made it possible to succeed.
And made it possible for him to succeed, yeah. So, as you're kind of looking at the Saxon tents, there is a face that you see among them that you were really hoping not to. There is an elderman from Port that you know was called Coral. And you know Coral because a few years ago when you were preaching illegally in London while the Saxons held the city, Coral was the one who ordered you to be lashed and drawn and quartered.
Which the second part obviously never happened. So
The
I was
second
gonna
part-
say,
The second
better.
part did not end up happening. You would be much shorter if that was the case.
I'm gonna roll forgiving first if I can, to have a sense of.
Absolutely. May I ask you before you roll, would the specific pain that this specific person has caused you provided a negative modifier to this roll, do you think?
I would think a pretty significant one. Yeah.
Let's give you a minus 10.
I'll be rolling against a 7 then. He is famously forgiving otherwise. I fail.
Some wounds are hard. Okay. I think when you see him, your blood runs cold. It's one of those feelings that's unidentifiable, a blend of many different things all at once, and it's uncomfortable. It makes, just for a moment, the scars that you still bear from the lashing itch a little bit. They don't hurt anymore. But suddenly you're aware of their presence as they brush across the fabric of your clothing in a way you haven't been in a long time. And what's worse, I think the moment that causes you to actively fail the forgiving roll is just when you start to register who it is, you see him laugh. He's talking with someone else, another Saxon, and they said something, and you hear him give a hearty laugh like it was the funniest joke he'd ever heard. Something about that hurts.
I think there's a part of him, not being equipped himself with anything. Maybe there's a tool around something sharp. And I'm not sure what would make sense in the middle of an abbey.
Sure. In these grounds, these specific grounds that you're in, where the guest tents or where the tents are all set up, there's the well right in that area. So it's possible that we could say that they recently dug a new well, you know? And so there's like legit a spade right there. Something big and sharp and bashable.
He's going to walk over to it, and the whole time his eyes are on the Saxon. But he knows that everything about this action would be not only condemning to him, but against what he believes. He is a man of God. He's a man of peace.
I think there's a moment where you hear the voice of Baron Decius, and you remember a moment when he first came to you, when he made a plea to Coral to release you from your punishment and that he would take personal responsibility watching over you. And you hear his voice as he says, There. All things will be right in time.
I forget the exact scripture. I was trying to quickly do it so I could come off super cool, but I failed I failed at achieving it. But he reflects back on Simon Peter with the sword in the garden, slicing off the Roman soldier's ear, and he remembers the words spoken to him of peace, setting down his sword. And I think he's gonna drop the shovel and almost like shaking, make his way to wherever would be befitting to pray. But he's gonna do it very abruptly. Like I picture the spade's gonna like clink as it drops, and he's like gonna shimmy in a monk shimmy run, like when a mom run.
Yeah.
He's doing one of those.
The noise definitely attracts attention, and Coral turns to kind of look in that direction. But by the time you would have any opportunity to see how he's responding to that, you're out of there. And of course, there are two chapels, and there are a couple of altars around the actual abbey that you could spend some time at. We'll even say there's one right outside the library for kicks.
Oh no! Another forgiving moment. Is it?
He picks up the shovel again as he sees Brother Tobias going, and the known scholar known as Sexwolf.
From there, yeah, I actually think we'll cut to Brother Aiden specifically. Now, Aiden, in the missions, you don't have access to a lot of text. There's not a lot of libraries. They don't ship a lot of things over there. And this place, though it's not as well stocked as London, it's still got a pretty impressive supply of not just religious texts, but also musings on religious texts, essays, and, conjecture on what certain things meant and interpretations, and then things that later got disavowed, Let me ask you, is there anything particularly that is attractive to Aiden in here?
Yeah, I'm just looking for that deep lore, even like translations of, Greek or, other more esoteric texts. Aiden is very curious about the world in general, and so wants to learn as much about it as he can.
What do you have to show him, Tobias? What's something that you think you would like to grant him? You don't have to know something. I think you're Googling something right now, but you
am
don't have to
Googling
know. It can't just be vibe.
Yes, it will mostly be a vibe. I think the spiciest thing that Brother Tobias mostly has, a number of doctrines and gospels written around the time as the Orthodox stuff that put different meaning on the existence of Mary and her nature in creating the divine. There's also different editions on what counts as the second coming of Jesus. Like, did it already happen when he resurrected? Was that it? Or is it yet to come? Tobias personally believes the latter. The resurrection is a separate thing, but here's a book that says otherwise.
Mm-hmm.
We're pretty good for just a vibe.
I can get some actual heretical text if you let me finish Googling.
Dunwin, do you want to step in?
Sure. Yes, I think Dunwin's been looking around for some people who are not busy entertaining too many of the guests, especially ones that have been here for a time and have not just arrived. Because in his mind, the people who have just arrived couldn't have done the thieving. So he enters the library looking around. He's not panicked or anything. He generally can keep his cool, but he was moving at a swift pace that is not usually seen for the monks in the abbey. So more books, right? And he gestures towards the library.
That is, in fact, what this building is for.
Right. Well, Brother Tobias, Brother Aiden, is the deacon here? Is Brian here as well, or is
Brian is not actively in the room right now. I have a means to him soon.
Okay.
Once you leave, you'll run into him.
Then we never leave. Okay. Dunwin will take a few more steps closer and to the other two, wherever they're rifling through books or looking at books, and say, so we may need to put the books down for a time. I know that look, Brother Tobias.
Why? Have the Saxons attacked?
No, probably not. I didn't see anything, but we do have a new task. Or at least I do, and I would ask for assistance, if you would, both of you.
I would, of course, love to lend my aid to you, brother. Indeed, many of those who I have authority over have their tasks. We are copying new text that we may send them to different chapels. And what would you like help with?
It seems I'm not entirely sure if it's necessary for the prayers to come in the discussions, but there is a certain rosary that has been misplaced. One made of river stones, finely polished. It seems to be quite dear and important. And he kind of shrugs his shoulders. I'm not exactly sure if we need it soon, in prayers to be had soon. Perhaps they will give our blessing to the discussions to come, but it seems they are needed, and they were not in the last place they were kept. Could be quite a benign thing. Memories are foggy at the best of times, and this is a very stressful time.
God willing, it was merely misplaced, but I do concur. This is a matter of some seriousness. This morning, you said.
What did the Abbey give any time frame that
He noticed it was missing this morning. I will say, if you want to make a connection as well, it is a small enough item that it's kind of weird that he noticed it was missing. So, like, if it was something that was like stolen last night, it could, in theory, it could have been taken at any point in the last couple of months because it's such a small item. But also the fact that it was mentioned, he said that he checked this morning and it was so. Do with that what you will.
And that was before Dunwin went out and met the Brother Aiden and the father,
Correct.
right?
It would have been before the Irish arrived, and it would have been before when Brian arrived as well.
Okay, perfect. Then Dunwin will nod and say, it did seem to be the early morning that it was misplaced.
Then, as we place our faith in God and indeed our fellow man, we must be aware that this is a matter of some seriousness. Brother Aiden, I know that it pains me to keep another scholar from the acquisition of knowledge, but there is a matter of some import and rival, then we know that, well, at least and
Cutting
like the
out for
lambs
me.
of God,
Yeah.
we shall wander.
Oh, you
How
cut
bad
just a
am I
little bit
cutting
there,
out?
Bones.
Just a
Just a
little
little
bit,
bit.
yeah.
Gotcha. And if we are to be the lambs of God in our innocence, importance to our group.
Of course, I'm more than happy to help.
Thank you, brother. What type of rosary is it? Brother Tobias asks. Like, which relic specifically?
One with beads of stone from the river. He sort of fumbles over the description because I'm not. Maybe he's seen it before, but it wasn't shiny enough to really catch his interest. You could say.
Does Brother Tobias know what it is? Is there like a catalog?
Not that you'd have access to. The reliquary, despite it seeming like it's kind of a similar vibe to the librarian work that you do, it's kind of a separate thing, and only the abbot is supposed to be able to go in there and, like, he's got a couple people that are designated supposed to be able to go in and out, but it's not a they can go in and out whenever. They have to actively get the keys from him. So, with that being said, there's not really a log of items that are in there.
They don't let me touch the thigh bone of St. Augustine.
They love the thigh bone of St. Augustine. You know, if you pull on the thigh bone of St. Augustine, whoever gets the larger side gets to make a miracle.
Yeah.
But Brother Tobias will say, well, of course this is your task, and we are to but assist you, Brother Dunwin, but I can think of few others who would have access to the reliquary but the abbot. And if he did not speak of his keys going missing, well, we shall have to look around, one supposes.
Right. He did not. No keys, to my understanding, have gone missing, but you are quite right. We may need to investigate the place where it's usually kept.
Yes, we might indeed. He seems too happy.
If you guys want to, I think as you guys are moving your way out of there towards the reliquary, not even by the library, you find a visibly shaken Bryant giving prayer at a little altar not too far away from one of the chapels.
He has prayer beads in his hands, and he's
got the rosary. Get him!
Get him!
These are quite plain, yes. And he's moving swiftly through his chain of prayers, clearly like in a stance of repentance and almost shaking as he does so.
And I make it's clear to see that Deacon Bryant is shaken and is troubled. Can I make a pious roll to see if I can, like, what the appropriate thing to do here is? I kind of want to join him in his prayers and offer silent succor with his presence.
I
not talk his ear off.
think typically the courtesy would be to know the proper etiquette. However, I think that's an appropriate check for this specific moment, if you'd like to test pious.
Let's do it. 4 beats a 17.
Okay. Not too bad. Yeah, I think what happens is what comes to mind is a specific verse that you know brings you comfort, and it's also general enough to hit at any time, you know? And I think if you kneel next to him and say that prayer out loud, you have faith at least that it will bring him some comfort.
As it has always brought Tobias comfort, even when he's been lonely, even when he's been scared, even when he's been starving for almost 3 weeks in the first days of his oath of temperance and poverty, I think he will Seeing Brian, he will kind of turn and make a beeline. He will kneel down in prayer, hands clasped as well. And as one of the rosary beads like goes past to begin another verse, Tobias will utter these words. Are you going to make me Google, or is this
No.
abstract words? Thank God.
We're going to abstract it. I don't know it well enough to quote it either.
Let us
Brian,
forgive the words of, let us forgive the deeds of those who have strayed from God, for indeed he has given us the grace for which to forgive. And
Amen.
amen.
Brian, do those words bring comfort?
I think they do. I tested forgiving when I walked by Brian or Tobias the last time, rather, and I think he'll look a bit calmer at Tobias and he says, "Thank you, brother. Your words and your faith bring comfort to me in these times."
I am glad to hear it. You are shaken. Has aught happened this night?
There's nothing that happened. Only desires of sin. There is a man, a Saxon, who did me great personal harm once. And he is out in the camp. I must confess, I thought terrible things, acts of violence, acts of vengeance.
I realize I am many steps below you in matters of faith, and much younger, but I ask, did you act on these?
No. But it was close.
Then it is your heart that is heavy, but not your hands and not your soul. I am not on confessional duty, but I know that they will begin early in the morning. In the meantime, I wonder if I might beg your patience and your aid in something that may take your mind off of matters of the flesh. That sounded too sexual. We go with it.
I'm following.
Yeah.
I think Bryant is still a little bit lost in his thoughts, and he's like, "It's fitting that I found a spade. One of my earliest acts while I was in training was I was called to Albans along with the other russet monks to look after the remnants of the infamous feast. I half thought to find my brother there, but I did not.
This
The
land
Lord
does
works
know
in
much evil.
mysterious ways.
Indeed. And we must trust in him, that his plan be true.
And but
In
that
this way,
he says,
I'm sorry.
sorry, you spoke of aid. Of course, it would be idle hands, as it were.
Indeed so. And he will gesture towards the gigantic forms of Brother Dunwin and Brother Aiden. It like, I imagine in the silhouette of the night to like these people walking, it looks like a beanpole next to a much larger beanpole next to a Goliath. He will say, "We are on the lookout for a relic which was noticed missing earlier this morning. Brother Dunwin can say more, but we know for a fact that you who arrived later than that would not be responsible."
Yes. If you were looking to take your mind off of those camps and at the outskirts and look for some perhaps penance along the way and aiding in our task, a rosary of beads of riverstone polished. It seems to have gone, well, misplaced. And I believe that it is to be used in the discussions to come. It is
This
an old
is-
thing, and
Beads of some import, then.
from what I understand, they are not mine, but they are important.
Of course. I would be happy to help.
And Dunwin bows his head low. He is appreciative, but he's also looking around. As we've been traveling around, he seems to have a nose for keeping an eye out. It seems then the first place we were thinking of was checking the last place it was seen. However, we may need to acquire the keys to get past a particular door that would get there. But before we do that, would anyone here have a better idea to approach first in finding this rosary?
If the rosary were in the reliquary and weren't brought out to be viewed by any antiquarian of any sort, then the only people who would have had access to it would have been the abbot, those he designates as to be worthy of entering the reliquary. Or there is another way in and out, which is less than likely.
Another way?
I am no great mind for skullduggery, nor indeed acts of athleticism. But Liam, a question for you. Like, do I know the building that the reliquary is in? Would there be like another doorway or another way to enter,
Not another
like through the rafters?
doorway. There is a window that's rather up high. You would have to be rather tall in order to like be able to jump and get a good grip on it, and it's glassed. So there would be a shattering sound or obvious signs of somebody having broken in if that was the way in.
Indeed. There are ways in that would result in destruction and noise. I propose we just look at the building and see that that has absolutely for sure not happened, and if it has, I will be greatly embarrassed and in that shame do penance that we have not noticed.
I think my advice would be to do things in the most orderly and appropriate way possible. So the window should be... I would think to set aside the option for the window. That would be my recommendation, but this is not my matter. You are bringing me in. I'll not oversee, nor will I... I would remove myself if you wish to go about such things.
Quite so. I should say, as to advocate for myself, I did not say that we should do that. I said that we should indicate that others have not.
I think I'll jump in and say it'll be easy to get the key. So if
Yeah,
you guys want
we
to
could
grab
probably
the key,
talk to the abbot.
in fact, indeed, the trickiest part is just getting a hold of the abbot. Over the next hour, he is rapidly making preparations for the Pope's emissary to arrive, the Deacon of Rome. But you do manage to get a couple of words with him, and you barely have to mumble like, no, reliquy, and he'll be like, oh, and he'll give you the key for it.
Jackpot. All right, we're going.
All right, heist time.
I do think like when he hands it to Dunwin, there's a look where he sees the look on Dunwin's face, and immediately there's a little bit of like a, oh, do I regret that? I don't know yet. I don't have time for it.
You're too busy. You're too busy. Don't worry about
Too
it.
busy. As you guys make your way over to the reliquary, who wants to put the key in? No reason I'm asking that. Don't worry.
Electric trap, always the way.
We form lightning bolt formation for the trap. Now, I think if it's given to Dunwin at like we went through there, he would put it in and open up the door.
Perfect. As you slide the key into the lock and you turn it, there's a sickening crunch sound. And then you try to turn the key again to get it out, and it's stuck.
Interesting. Dunwin his eyes narrow as he looks down to the key now. And he's going to take a knee and see if he can, I'm not sure if the lighting is at the appropriate angle or anything to look into the lock while the key's in there, but he's going to see if he can note any substance that's been jammed in or something.
It doesn't look like it. Actually, give me an awareness check. Let me see what you got. You all can make an awareness check if you all want to crowd around the keyhole and try to see in there.
I would love to. I would love to.
Wait, how do
11 over 50. I succeed.
Just barbarian thing says all monks, no robes. Okay, so I got success on Thomas. Denwin, did you get a success?
Yes, 16 is his awareness.
And then David, did you want to roll?
Rolled, failed.
Failed, gotcha. Yeah.
Too big to go in there.
Everybody except for Bryant is kind of like crouched in, like trying to troubleshoot what's going on with the lock and why the key isn't turning. And
You tried taking it out and putting it in again.
Yeah, it's stuck. It won't come out. I think there's a moment, Bryant, when you're watching this and you're a little bit amused. And then there's a moment where you go, boy, it sure looks like they're trying to pick that lock. And just when you have that thought, a voice kind of calls out from like just a little bit down the hall. Excuse me, brothers. What are you doing?
Oh, and then sort of he realizes just how bad this looks. He says, "Oh, well, we were," and then he kind of looks to see who's talking first. I think
the woman is not one that you would recognize, Brian. Tobias and Dunwin, you would recognize her as Sister Lycan. Sister Lycan there's a very limited number of nuns at the Abbey, but she is responsible for basically maintaining a level of peace and allowing them to do the womanly work here that while still maintaining some distance from the rest of the Abbey. She seems very confused at what's going on.
They'll say, "Good sister, we had just received the key. We are looking for something. The key broke in the keyhole."
It seems to, I think Dunwin is like frustrated as he wiggles the key more, getting it stuck more, and he wiggles it in the door. Sister, it seems like the key isn't necessarily broken. It is quite stuck, as you can see. Is this, I don't remember this happening before.
No, I've never been in there before, but I can fetch some oil. I know that most of the doors around the Abbey that tend to stick, a little bit of grease put in them often helps with lubricating the metal. Though I had asked the abbot, I found something and I wasn't quite sure who to report it to.
Oh?
Out in the gardens, one of my girls, one of my sisters, well, perhaps it would be better if I show you. It caused a bit of a panic.
Indeed.
Do we need to, is it danger of any kind? Panic seems quite extreme.
That remains to be seen. I would like a second opinion on it before I bring it further, as I am concerned about what talk might be if it is nothing. Do you understand?
Then let us provide what aid we can. But first, Brother Aiden, you are of a great and stocky build. Can you wrench this key free?
I will step forward and see what I can do.
I think give it a shot.
What's key removing skill? Is it just
Key
strength?
removing skill.
Strength,
I would say
yeah.
feels like strength to me, yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right. I'm working with the strength of 16, so let's see what we can do here. A 4.
The key does indeed come free. There's another like really awful sounding crunch, and when you pull it free, it looks normal. However, both of I think Thomas and Zach, who both passed their awareness checks, you will notice that there's a little bit of clumps of like dirt and twigs that seem to have been caught in the lock.
Dirt and twigs.
Pardon?
But is that a bad thing, Brother Tobias?
No, not. I don't believe so.
Right.
Perhaps all should be fine, but it does mean that the lock has been soiled in 2 ways. And if so, it has been done in such a way that was not noticed by the abbot when he last entered. It is a mystery that we can solve in short time, especially with Greece, but Sister Lycan, please lead the way. Dirt and twigs, curiouser and curiouser.
Right, I'll leave that mystery to you, and, well, this way. She takes you out to the gardens. There's trying to think what kind of fruit trees would be native to England. I'm going to say a apricot tree. And just nobody correct me if I'm wrong. One of the things that is particularly impressive about the Garden of St. Martin's is that supposedly if you walk through it in a certain place and in a certain angle and do a little tour through the flower beds, it will tell the story of Jesus' birth, death, and resurrection simply through the colors and the particular choices of flowers that are present there. Very carefully. None of you have ever experienced this, but that is what they say about it. As you come through towards the end, around the place of death, of Jesus' death, supposedly, there is an apricot tree. And there is a small shrub right at the base of the tree that kind of overlaps some of the roots that show. And Sister Lycan steps over to it and she goes, "It's right there if you part the bushes a little bit. I didn't dare touch it, and I didn't dare show it to anyone else."
I see.
We'll take a large step over and carefully part the bushes to get a better view.
As you move a bit of the leaves on the shrubs, there is indeed a little shrine made of twigs. It's half buried, and sitting in the shrine is the rosary that you're looking for, as well as a small scrap of very well-soaked paper. Not soaked in the sense that it's like mushy, but soaked in the way that like it has been laminated using a process that is meant to preserve it. And it's wrapped up right around the base of the rosary.
Tobias will make the sign of the cross, but afterwards he clasps his hand together and goes, "Twigs."
Sister Lycan also shakes her head and she goes, "See, I don't want to cause a start, but it does seem to be something unholy."
But do we have any new arrivals here? Someone almost being a child, and I think Dunwin does not know too much about the pagan ways. He barely knows. I mean, he's just started with the Christian ways, really. So he thinks, with a kind of a smirk, that this may be a young novice who is playing a joke.
"Oh, there's plenty of children here, brother. Just look to the Saxon camp."
As a big nerd, has Tobias seen any kind of thing like this, or does he know anything about like folklore style? Like if he looks at it, he's not getting Blair Witch flashbacks.
I think this specific instance will not actually be folklore, it would need to be fiend lore. And before you panic, fiend lore is just what the church classifies as anything that any religious practice that is not theirs.
You said this skill wouldn't come into play.
I lied.
I got a 5 in it, so
I got a 7. We can try our best.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can see it.
I can't. Hang on. Now I'm looking at you. Oh, is it pass?
It is. It's a 7. It's a crit.
Oh, it's
Oh,
a crit.
nice.
Very nice. Okay. Did anybody else make an attempt, and did anybody else get it?
Yeah, Brian succeeded with 7.
Attaboy, Brian.
Not a crit.
I think I may have the minimum, which is like what, a 2 or something, or
Yeah.
I think it's it's 2 or 5 or something. Also, I've discovered the downside of rolling physical dice. I got really excited, and then I had to fully lift my laptop up.
Your laptop. Yeah. Okay, and then Zach, you got 2. That's a crit.
Is that what? Is 2 the minimum? Because I didn't put any points into it. So
I'm pretty sure 2 is the minimum.
Let me actually check while you explain how clever we are.
I think we don't need to check, because I think it would be
Yes,
more
it's a
interesting
crit.
if he crit. Yeah.
Indeed. Good point. Good point.
Okay, so yes, Tobias, you have heard, you've actually read about little twig effigies like this before. What you've heard is that usually pagan symbols of protection, they're not necessarily harmful. However, it does feel extremely weird that it is being blended with a Christian iconography, like a Christian idol here. The thing that you get for the crit specifically is that there is a name associated with the twig effigies that have this kind of styling, but you actually can't place exactly what it is because you've seen it referred to as a number of different things and never more than once. Zach, for your critical, I'm gonna say that when you were in your in your wandering years, say, you actually encountered something like this, and it was in it, you understood it to also be a symbol of protection. You didn't really know too much more else about it, but I will give you for your crit a little bit of extra information in that you know for certain that it's not a Saxon practice. Well, don't all stumble for clues at once.
Effigy indeed. Yes. This is an effigy indeed, one of protection in a pagan style, and yet here it sits with the stolen rosary.
Seems someone is playing games.
Or perhaps some other mischief. This piece of paper, I am loath to disturb this at the moment. I feel your anxiety, Sister Lycan. But God protects those with stout hearts and those with a thirst for knowledge. You guys have heard of that. Brother Tobias is going to look at the piece of paper, like maybe not trying to disturb it, but he's going to look at it and see what's written down there.
Gotcha. So you get vaporized instantly.
Okay. Fortunately, my backup character, size 22.
Tobias Jr. He's much larger. No, what you can tell is that there is written in Latin on it. It seems to be a poem. You can look closer at it, but just from your quick glance, that's all you can tell.
I would love to look closer at it and to give the deacon and my brothers a chance to observe as well.
I think as this is happening, Dunwin takes a step back. He's kind of rubbing his chin as he thinks. He's doing so. He's going to look around. This feels like something perhaps he's felt before. He's wondering if anybody's watching them.
You do? Why don't you roll me... Ooh, actually, hang on. Why don't you give me a pious versus worldly test?
Oh, he's 9 pious, so
Brother
It's not-
Dunwood, we've really got to work on that.
he has improved a lot from before. I'll keep it at that.
Fair.
Not pious, 18. So I guess I'll do a worldly.
Yeah, you'd only need to do one, but I like to do two just for extra context in case it's a crit.
He may neither, I guess.
Okay, that's okay. I am going to say then that I'm going to choose for you here. I'm going to say that it's going to be the worldly. And for that, you don't get the impression that something is watching you as you did earlier, not in the same way, but you do. It's almost like an earthy taste in your mind. It's not overpowering, it's not overwhelming. It's just a strange sense of connection you have to the ground itself, and that somehow feels relevant. Hope that helps. I'm going to give you the poem as well, Tobias. If anybody wants to prepare to write something down, now's your moment.
Doing it.
With spirit and bone and a hushed little tone, the whisper that comes from the wind in the trees, it watches and waits, you'll open the gates and know the land's voice as you please.
It watches and waits. You'll open the gates?
You'll open the gates.
And
Oh, know the land's voice as you please.
gotcha. There's a line.
I thought you were going to talk.
No, sorry about that. I believe, in fact, Brother Tobias will read that out in the way that people will read pages from the Necronomicon. But
Sister Lycan goes, nope, and walks away.
Curious indeed. Someone has created this effigy, someone has pressed this poem, and someone has taken this rosary, and they have done it in such a way that has been undetected thus far. The abbot did not notice anything wrong with the key sliding into the lock, or if he did not mention it to Brother Dunwood. So something is very strange.
Do they, Brother Aiden, do they have these little twig things over in the damp and cold
They have
of your
twigs in
island?
Ireland.
Well, it looks like something a child might make, but some sort of doll or something. Certainly we have that sort of thing where I come from.
Just wondering if... I mean, I've seen something like this before, a long time ago. It didn't look exactly like this, but it felt the same in a weird way.
What can you tell us about such a thing?
Oh, I don't know too much. And Dunwin holds up his hands like he is not the one to go into a lot of detail about his past, especially. Just that it never did me any wrong. At least back then. I'm not too sure about now, and especially with the rosary and the paper, the poem, or whatever that is. Maybe the combination
Yes.
makes it bad. I don't know.
This leaves me with an ill feeling, but though a pagan practice and obviously baseless superstition, it is meant to be a gesture of protection from harm. But these twigs, this dirt, they've been showing up twice this day and, well, 3 times if one counts conversation.
Brian will lean in a bit, the other brothers, and he says, How well do you know the sister over there?
Quite well, I would say. She has been a steadfast member of the church for 10 years? 8?
10 years is about right. However, while you're not wrong, there is a distance there. The monks aren't typically supposed to interact with the nuns, and they keep their distance by structure of your schedules are purposefully kept different most of the time. If it wasn't this specific event, you probably never would have spoken to her.
She is a nun, obviously.
Indeed.
Yeah.
When I was young, I grew up in the lands of Salisbury, and there were much ado about a necromancer in those lands. Simply inquire, indeed, works of those who serve the devil. Most certain. Nevertheless, I think it more likely that these are some kind of prank, or perhaps something the Saxons are doing, even though these are clearly not Saxon Bordanic deeds. These are something we would see here in the Britons. They are still they're still in service to evil.
Indeed it is. Based on my score in, like, piousness, more or less spiritually appropriate to just, like, take the rosary or leave it be if it's something that I don't understand. As he says to Bryant, while I believe those here are good of soul and spirit and moral, it does not change that this is strange indeed, and there is much one might do when cavorting with powers of the pagan persuasion.
The bell starts to ring, the church bell, the Abbey bell, calling everyone for preparations for supper. That is coincided with, at the same time, shouts from the front gate letting everyone know that the Deacon of Rome has arrived, and they will all be eating together with the Saxons this evening. And I think that's a good place for us to take a little break. Everybody can get some water and use the bathroom. Hit our final scene for the evening, which will the semi-feast at Abbey of St. Martin's.
Hell yeah.
Excellent. Alrighty. Just to note before we go to BRB real quick, we are doing a Roll for Wishes, or we are participating in Roll for Wishes, which is a Make-A-Wish Foundation event running through all of October. It is, I believe, coordinated by Logomancy Media based out of Calgary, Alberta. It is a wonderful thing to participate in. We have a link. I will make sure that I post that one more time for you all, and then we'll go on break and be back for the final scene. Thank you all for watching. We'll be right back. All right, and we're back from the break. Just a thanks to Forest Rights for the $30 donation. We are up to $60 now. Fantastic. And if you don't want your name aired, you can, of course, donate anonymously. So don't worry about that part of it. And with that, I'll pass back to Liam.
I see no reason why you should need to tick modest instead of proud on that one. You're donating to a good cause. So
Indeed.
Okay, so now that we're back from our break, the next couple of hours preparing supper and getting it ready for everybody to come and eat together in the same room is so busy that none of you actually get an opportunity to even really talk to each other. It's a whirlwind, and there's a great deal of immediate complications. There was a plan where the Saxons would sit in one corner of the room, and the Pope's emissary would sit all the way on the other side of the room. However, almost immediately, the Saxons start to make a fuss about where they're sitting. There's not a lot of them, but the ones that are there ask to be dispersed throughout the room so that they can do their job properly. There's some contention about this. However, at this dinner that is sort of a feast, and yet not quite a feast, all of you find yourself sitting in different places around the room, but knowing where each other are. It's pretty easy for you to get up and move around and talk. Ordinarily, this would be another dinner time, another supper. You guys would not be allowed to talk, but obviously things have changed a little in this circumstance. Bob, would you do me a favor and go ahead and roll the feast button for us?
Oh, sure. They're doing a fancy feast. All right, let's see.
Ooh.
Ooh, what have we got there?
I knew it. I knew it was happening.
Near the
It's
cock
got
and
a
cheese.
We've got a fat capon, a cockatrice, a white poultry meat stewed in wine. Wow, that's wonderful. Ignore that. You guys are getting bread and fish.
Pagan, bring out the cockatrice. I am
Pagan.
I was
having
wondering.
regular capon.
It's a very
What are we,
nice.
knights?
It's more bread and fish than you usually have access to, though. And it seems that there's a little bit of almost like a sinful seasoning on it too. It's pretty nice.
Oh,
I will not have the seasoning.
Is this that thing like
The-
where you're at like camp and the camp like volunteers all get like the same garbage food, but like the guests are eating this like grand feast? Like are the Saxons eating like the monks, or are they given like special?
Well, that is a great question. I'd actually like you guys to roll awareness checks for me. If you're actively looking if you think your character would be actively looking out of curiosity, you can give yourself a +5.
I will not. And you know what? I'm just going to roll on this too, so everyone can see.
Always actively looking at the Saxons.
Succeed.
Also,
nah, the Saxons are fine. There's good food to be eaten, so Dunwin's not paying much attention at this point.
Yeah, I'm more intrigued by the cabbage stew than anything else.
Right.
Okay, so Thomas got success. Zach got success. Did Brian get a success?
Did.
Okay, cool. So, and just to make sure I didn't mishear, Aiden did not get a success.
No.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so for all of you who succeeded, the Saxons seem to have cooked some of their own food in order to supplement the meal. They've set up a couple of little boiler pots out by their tents, and a lot of the monks seem a little appalled by this. It's one of those things where they weren't told not to do that, but it does feel a little like, well, not great showing that you're going to be able to integrate, However, one thing that all of you who succeed do notice is that the Deacon Gaius of Rome, is brought a plate of food, pokes at it a little bit, and then actually says something to the sister that brought it to him. And she takes the food away, and about 20 minutes into supper, she comes back with something that was clearly prepared specifically for him now that is a little bit fancier. It's probably closer to one of the feast items that's on there. It's not the cockatrice. Sorry, they didn't.
As someone famously temperate and famously pious, I think Tobias is a little less pleased with the Deacon of Rome than he is with the Saxons. Because, the Saxons, this kind of thing was expected, but asking for a fancier thing from your host when you're supposed to be representing God, that's just... Ugh.
I am going to have you guys all make your first feast checks of the night. I'm going to have you guys roll 2d100. Or sorry, 1d100. That's 2d10.
All right.
75.
66.
Oh, close to 68.
71.
Let's start with Larkins. 66, you said?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I know exactly what's going to happen to you here. Do not be afraid.
It feels very unholy. We're 1/6 away from the devil.
At a certain point in the evening, as people are discussing the politics of the debate that's going to come tomorrow, a knight makes his way over to where you're at the table, you and Lowen, Father Lowen, and puts, like, kind of leans forward on it. Goes, "You two, you're Irish, aren't you?"
Aye.
"I didn't realize they let Irish wear cloth."
Let's see here, my good man. You were preaching the word of God while you people were still worshipping stones.
Stones. That's good. I like that. But you see, I come from Cornwall County, now under the reign of a new king, a just king. But our old count used to fight off Irish raids by the week. They'd come in and pillage and do harm and hurt all the people they could hurt. Funny to me how those same people who will hurt innocent people like that leave you men of cloth and your missions alone. What do they know that we don't?
Maybe they just don't like the looks of you.
All right. You've got a wit. I'll give you that. What about you? And he turns to Father Lowen, and Father Lowen's got, like, he's got fish in his mouth, and he's like, "Oh, sorry, my student seems to be handling himself just fine, by all means." And you see him kind of glare a little bit. He goes, "What's your name, kid?"
Brother Aiden, what's yours?
"I don't know. I had it up on my screen a second ago, and I just scrolled away from it. Hang on."
He's a little...
My name's Sir Cullen. And I'm curious. Where do you stand with this? The debate that's coming up. Do you think Saxon could be made king?
If he's a Christian.
Safe answer. Though not an unpopular one. Strange. A lot of knights fallen to Saxons recent years. If a man takes a pledge to the Lord, does that clear him of all of it? Does that give him the right?
The Lord forgives those who genuinely seek it.
And what about us mortals who have a far harder time at being as saints? Do we forgive too, brother?
Hey, if you seek it. Why don't you have a seat and break bread with us?
There's a moment of visible confusion on his face as you have so expertly diffused him trying to pick a fight that for a moment he's not sure what to do with himself. And I think with the like furrow in his brow, he does slowly sit down.
Hmm.
Why do
I'll
the
offer him
missions
some bread.
Why do the missions get left alone?
We don't always. We are just as vulnerable to raiders, warlords, be they Irish, British, or Saxon.
Lowen kind of pipes in too, and he goes, "Not to mention, for all the things that make the Irish very different people to the British, to those of the Cymry, and the other great cultures that inhabit this land, they have a great deal of faith and respect for druids of all kinds, even the so-called druids of Christian God. Many of them wouldn't dare harm men of faith, even as other boundaries are less clear to them." Sir Cullen frowns a little bit at that, and he goes, "Shame more can't carry that mentality, I suppose." Let's do Zach. What was your numbers?
I got a 68.
68. Okay. I think I have something for you here too. I'm gonna make you make another awareness check, actually.
Oh, I'm so glad I invested in awareness now, because
You've had to make
been-
it so many times.
he's made it.
Oh, that's a success. You notice that one of the nuns that has not been at this abbey before, but has arrived with one of the other groups, has been staring at you for some time. Like, enough time and at you specifically that it's starting to get a little uncomfortable.
If he looks at her, does she look away? Does she look like she's not trying to make it known?
Absolutely. She absolutely looks away if you look at her. It seems not like it's out of shyness, but out of uncertainty. Almost like the way that she's looking at you is she's trying to place your face, but is having trouble doing so.
So, almost like a certain instinct kicks in. He's going to need a drink, another drink, a refill. And as he takes his mug to wherever the barrels are or whatever, he's going to slip around a corner, perhaps in one of the hallways to the greater hall. And he's going to turn and wait.
And it doesn't take very long, but the nun does follow you out, and as soon as she sees you, she's startled. She goes, "Oh, I'm sorry. I was just
Sister." And there's a calming smile, but there's something in his eye that doesn't really match the smile. "I did not mean to startle you. I was just having a private moment here in prayer. Would you like to join me?"
Yes, of course. I'm sure you noticed me looking at you. I apologize. I promise it wasn't from any sinful place. You look familiar.
Oh, well, I've been doing a lot of work here at St. Martin's. Of course, cutting all the firewood, placing it within the piles around. I'm sure you've seen me since you are visiting.
I think I must be mistaken, but there was a long time ago, my brother had a few friends, and you remind me of one of them. I was younger at the time, barely a woman. When he passed, I didn't know exactly what happened. Most of his friends were hurt, or they went badly. Except for one of them, which they never found, and forgive me, I speak without thinking.
Dunwin chews on his lip and he looks towards the ground for a second. It's clear that he was not exactly he's expecting something, but not to relive these memories. We all had our lives before taking to the cloth, as I'm sure you know. What happened back then shouldn't have, but it did. I have regrets, and many, many things I must atone for. God works in mysterious ways. I hope some of them include me at the end.
She opens her mouth to say something, and clearly changes her mind partway through, and something else comes out instead. For a couple of years, I thought maybe it was you. That was why you weren't there, but I don't believe that anymore. I know that my brother and his friends were bad men, bandits, murderers in some cases, but to have them murdered, butchered, and drowned, it put me in a dark place. I found peace here. Found peace. I hope, if I'm not mistaken, that you found peace here too.
I believe I have, or at least what peace a man like me can find. I should have been there with your brother. What happened, they shouldn't... I should have been there. And he stops that line of thinking as he shakes his head. However,
God works in mysterious ways.
he does indeed. Where there were things I am not proud of, but there are some that I am. Would you like to hear some of those? And some of them even your brother participated in. Let us talk of the good times.
And perhaps I can take you up on praying with you. For him. And for you.
Dunwyn smiles and nods. I don't think there's any more words needed.
Bob, what numbers did you get?
71.
71.
We all got very consistent numbers here.
I know.
Yeah, same range.
This is pretty charming. Okay. I also know what I want to do with this. Unfortunately, Bob, Bryant has been placed in a position where he's basically any direction he looks, he can't not see Carl. I think there is a moment when, you're looking at him and then you look down at your cup and take a drink. And by the time the cup comes down, he's making eye contact with you.
He looks back. I'd like to suggest that he glares a little bit at the Saxon, not even meaning to. His eyes just narrow a bit, just almost instinctively.
The glare is met with a smile, a smirk more. And the Saxon lifts his hand and waves for you to come and join him at his table.
He looks over to everyone else and sees they're busy. So it's kind of just him at this moment. I think he'll get up and he'll walk over. His hands kind of folded peacefully in front of him.
Isn't sure where I saw you before, but I remember now. You were in Londinium. You were the favored from the bishop there.
I was, yes.
Huh. Well, you seem to be doing well for yourself.
The Lord sought to pull me from the fire.
Oh, no, we weren't using fire that day. Tell me, what have you been up to since your people retook your city? I still have not worn down the shame of losing it, but the glory of taking it in the first place, holding it as long as we did, I find that a reasonable victory.
He nods. I remain in London. I'm simply here for this event.
Perhaps someday, depending on how these talks go and depending on how what was it? Collegium? Depending on how that goes, perhaps I will see you again in Londonium someday. Wouldn't that be nice?
He says nothing because saying yes would be a lie.
I think he smiles a little bit at that. Do you still... No, you must. That's why you skittered away this morning when you saw me. I didn't place it at the time, but... Our kind believe that scars are a means of growth. Each injury inflicted, it's a chance to come back stronger and harder, to be something more than you were before. Do you feel you are more than you were before, Bryant?
I am. I am stronger. But it is the Lord's hand that makes me so.
There was a smile. It sags. Pity. And here I thought your people would be grateful to your new friends. We do share a land, after all, and I don't believe that you treat your other Britons the same level of vitriol that we receive. And yet you still war with each other, don't you?
There are wars, yes. They're fought nobly. Not the barbarism that your kind is known for.
Barbarism? Oh. That's a Roman word. Meant, I knew this, I learned it in Londinium, a Roman city. Barbarism is anything that is not Roman, is it not? That not apply to your culture as well? After all, no Briton considers themselves Roman anymore.
You have that right. And indeed, Rome once fell. All of that is matters for knights, soldiers, not those of the cloth. My heart is with God now, as is my life.
Yes. And yet Rome still comes here today to tell you what you believe. I don't say with judgment. Promise, my people have their own problem. And one of the reasons why we never, no matter how many troops we put into it, was that problem. But, well, it's interesting to me. I find it curious, relatable even. We have many gods. You have one. And yet you are just as divided in some ways. I do hope, despite your distaste for those treatments, I do hope that someday you and I can reach a place where could be amicable, maybe even friends. Do you see a world where we could be friends, Bryant?
just fumble. I roll forgiving and I just fumble.
Oh, I love Pendragon. No other game does
You go
this to you.
over the table.
Hey, brother of Virgil, I think you got to choke slam this guy. I
Yeah,
think that's the way you got to go.
I don't think Bryant is probably not inherently violent, but I just think he leans over the table and he knocks accidentally whatever he's drinking over on him, but he doesn't even notice. And he says, "We will never be friends." And with that, he's going to storm off because he realizes probably in that moment that he like made a major, he's got a high courtesy. So it's a major fault.
As you walk away, there is sound of laughter from the Saxon, from that particular Saxon table. Okay, and that leaves us with Tobias. Tobias, what'd you get?
That's me. I got a 75.
75. Okay, I like this one. All right, give me just a moment here to check something.
I'm filled with a rising sense of dread.
Yeah, okay, this works. You also get visited by a Saxon. At certain point, a very, I don't know if you would consider him handsome, but well kept at least, like bathed and well dressed. Saxon comes over to your table and smiles. And he goes,
Bathing? Finery.
"Excuse me, forgive my interruption. You are the librarian here, are you not?"
That is correct. I am Brother Tobias.
"I have been desperately curious since I've arrived in these lands what a library looks like. My people don't write our information, we spread it. We have runes, which are their own form of language in a sense.
Yes, but you keep an oral tradition in which you lie down on the ground with a cloth over your head and a stone on your stomach, in which you tell the stories of your heritage, yes?
Not entirely inaccurate, yet not exactly on the point either. If you'd like, I could invite you to our camp later this evening, and we could tell you a story. You could see what it's like yourself."
While I'm uncertain if it would be entirely appropriate, as the librarian, I can permit certain people entry into the library, so long as it is merely you and you do not damage the books or remove them from the Abbey. I believe that can be well done. The books, in many ways, hold on, someone's at the door. I'll be right back. I won't say.
Oh, he's gone! He's fucking gone! We lost him.
Yeah, Brian knocks him over as you please.
Brian bowls him over as he goes to the ground.
I think Tobias was just raptured.
Yes, Tobias will continue to say, though there are many differences between our people and many political matters, I believe that God made us curious in his way, and the acquisition of knowledge is how we reach a state of oneness. I would not deny a fellow pilgrim of knowledge the chance to look at least what a library is.
I think that would be a very reasonable trade. Knowledge for knowledge and stories for stories. What do you keep in your libraries? Are they tales of your gods, or are they histories of kings and culture?
For most church libraries, they are indeed Bibles and biblical works, sections of parables, recounted and illuminated. In my library, I have made a push, much like my predecessor, to put scholarly works, histories, medical treatises, even some cookbooks.
Cookbooks? To what end? Do you cook the book?
No, the books detail recipes, styles of food creation, not merely from our own culture, but from ones in ancient days like Greece and Rome.
Do you Kimric have time for such things? To make a production of a meal?
So long as the ingredients are there, I have built a philosophy on this. I myself have made a vow of poverty. And he gestures to his own plate, which is, like, even to, like, the other priests, like, far simpler. I do not engage in finery as such, but food is a matter that is both luxury and survival in one, while, indeed, it is truly impossible to live off of bread alone forever. But if one has the necessary resources, they can, with a heaping helping of fish and salt, taste what it was to be in Rome 300 years ago.
I see. To have that kind of connection to the past is curious, to say the least. You'll forgive my manners for a diplomat. I seem to be forgetting them. My name is Asfalter.
Asfalter. It is good to meet you, Asfalter. I am no ambassador myself, but in my limited authority, I can welcome you into the library under specific supervision.
Of course, supervision is necessary, I understand. I am fascinated by Kimric culture and your blend of what came before the Rome and what came after. It reminds me of home in a very different way. Songs sang in a different key. I am a close personal friend of King Kidrick, and I am here on his behalf. Perhaps we could discuss more of what it would mean to be Christian.
And here, Brother Tobias, within his mind, dealing with mostly books and knowledge, he reaches a door, and that door is labeled Theological Politics. That door is kept under lock and key for many good reasons, because he is opinionated. But he opens it in his mind, and he goes, I believe that could be a worthy use of our time indeed.
I think that is a good place to take a step away from that. As, for lack of a better term, the feast starts to come to a close, I need everybody to make me an awareness check. I'm going to give you -5 this because it's kind of noisy in the hall. In a hall that is very echoey because it's not built for people to be talking at once in.
I left the scene. Safe to say I'm not rolling.
That is totally fine.
Okay.
Actually, if you left the scene, you are rolling but with a +5.
Oh, no.
Oh,
Hmm.
success.
Okay.
Also got it.
Okay, so that's
I
a
would have
success
rolled a
from
critical, except I got the penalty, so.
Oh, you know what? Fuck it. You did get a critical. Congratulations.
Man, you're a much nicer dear.
I'm gonna
Yeah,
make
but-
you guys. I'm gonna make you guys dread going back to Bob.
Playing by the rules. What is it?
Yeah.
As we're gonna start with everybody who just got a regular success on it. You can hear somebody shouting, like calling out over by the gates of the Abbey. It's pretty late at night. You guys aren't expecting anyone else to come and arrive. And it doesn't sound like shouts of alarm or violence, but it does sound like someone is talking to someone on the other side of the gates and trying to figure out what's going on. Aiden, for your critical, I'd say you recognize it from your time in Ireland specifically as something that is a little tense. And you're really used to people showing up and then having to figure out if this is going to be. So from that, I'd say your instincts tell you you should probably find out what's going on out there. You're welcome to grab any of the others, but we're going to be wrapping up in a second, so you don't need to.
Yeah, you'll just see me making a beeline to go outside. Kind of hard to miss. So,
Does anybody else want to go and investigate this? You won't be going as fast, so Aiden will be the first to arrive.
I think, as scintillating as this conversation is, Brother Tobias does not have more food to get to, and things are strange here in the Abbey. I think he might follow Brother Aiden, see what's afoot. He is a curious cat.
I think Dunwin will take a glance, make sure the abbot is still in here, which I'm guessing he is, just towards the more important part, probably above the salt, maybe. And then he's going to take a large bite out of bread and then follow along.
He's got his priorities set.
Priority. Yeah.
that's right.
And then was that Bryant as well?
Brian failed, even with the +5.
Oh, that's right. Bryant failed.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, well, never mind. Get out of my sight.
Right?
Oh, hang on. Sorry, I'm trying to double check something here. Oh, that's what I've done with it. Okay. Aiden, as you make your way over to the gates, there are two monks that are manning it. One who's just kind of like standing a little bit closer to where you're coming from. He's got his arms crossed and he's holding a lantern. The other one is on top of the gate and kind of like shouting over it at someone outside. You hear horses, like a not insignificant number of horses outside the gate. They're not riding heavily, but they're out there. Like almost they're at a resting, but horses make noise. They trot in place and they, whinny and things like that. The monk that with the lantern turns as you come over, he kind of shrugs and he goes, "Where's the abbot?"
Oh, Aiden.
Oh, that was for Aiden.
Oh, sorry.
No, it's okay. Oh,
Where's the abbot?
Where's the abbot?
Inside.
I sent
Why?
someone to go and get him. He didn't come back. Well, I don't know what to do.
What's wrong?
Well, and right around the time that he's saying this is when the rest of you can arrive. He goes, "Well, Brother Tobias up there, not Tobias, you're Tobias.
Yes.
Brother, other name that's not Tobias, Brother John.
There you go.
Brother John up there, he's trying to figure out, but there's a baron here that says he wants to come in, but I don't think it's one of the bishops."
Well, is there reason to not let him in? We are allowing many.
"I think you should see for yourself. He's got an army."
Oh,
That does
dear.
change things.
I would like to maybe do a little walk up the wall and see if I can poke my head over.
It's not a large contingent. Anybody who wants to do this can see this. It's not a large contingent. Many of them are carrying, it's almost entirely cavalry. They're knightly cavalry, so they're well equipped, but if everybody wants to make awareness check, I can give you a little bit of extra detail. Many of them have torches. They don't seem particularly riled up, but there is a figure that's clearly leading them, and he's shouting up at the other monk, Brother John there. Oh, David, that is not going to count. All right, we've got, I think, 2 failures and a success.
He barely got it.
Just barely. And then did Bryant want to roll as well?
Would I
Not
be
here.
around?
Yeah, I would say
Oh,
if you'd like to, there's enough of a commotion now at this point. If you'd like to arrive, you can. If you'd prefer to stay separate, you can.
Maybe I'll pass on rolling, but I'll say I'm arriving just from the commotion, out of curiosity, right? So, yeah.
Perfect. Okay. Yeah. So for specifically, I actually know why you make this as well. Zach, you actually specifically are able to tell this detail because it's familiar to you. Seeing in the dark, a lot of these knights are wearing, we'll say, worn gear. Some of it is relatively new. A lot of it seems like it's weathered and hasn't been repaired super regularly. Some of it's even mismatched. It's not so much that it's suspicious in the sense of like, these people aren't knights, but it is enough that it's unusual for the knights that you have encountered in your life. The lead horseman kind of trots forward a little bit and goes, "For fuck's sake, go and get the abbot. Open the gates. For the love of God. We're here as friends. Tell him that the Black Shield Baron of Woodland County is here for an audience with the emissary from Rome. And you best make it quick." And that is where we will end our first session of Open the Gates tonight. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. I'm going to go ahead and pass it. We'll do Bob, Thomas, David, and Zach. You guys can go ahead and, say your name, who you play. So if you want anything, if you want to plug anything that you're in, by all means, go ahead, Bob. Let's go ahead and have you start that.
Yeah, sure. Okay, so first I'll plug the Roll for Wishes event. So we are doing a 3-part series here. This is 1 of 3. So we'll be back next week and the week after, same time. We, of course, do have a little bit of a challenge because there is another group on Tuesdays that's going to be running too. So I'd like to propose that we track which ones come from Sundays and which ones come from Tuesdays. But yes, we also have a lot happening on this channel. We are on break from our normal Pendragon, just a writing break as we finally finished Anarchy, moving into the Boy King. But we are back in November with that. We also have 2 more parts of a 3-part series called Crown of Thorns, Vampire the Dark Ages, run by the gentleman gamer, Matthew Dawkins. And we have an upcoming Daggerheart one-shot, and that is the other Roll for Wishes initiative with MontyGlu from the Unexpectables. And we also have Delta Green running on Saturdays. I think I caught everything. There's a lot going on here.
You've been a busy guy, Bob. You've been running so many things.
I'm not running any of it. That's the best part of it. So I'm just a player in all of it. A player in.
You've been organizing.
Yeah. And yeah, there's more on the production side, but yeah, I will pass it off to David. David, thanks so much for joining, by the way.
Well, it's been a pleasure, and thanks so much for having me. Yeah, I'm David Larkins. I played Brother Aiden tonight, and, I recommend a game called Pendragon. What can I say?
And other Chaosium products.
Indeed, all the fine products from Chaosium.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, David. All right, Thomas, you want to...
Absolutely. Hello, my name is Thomas, and I have been playing Brother Tobias. Obviously, I play my TTRPGs for escapism, and so I'm playing a massive nerd.
You said it, not me.
Indeed. But it has been an absolute delight to play characters who are basically citizens, but I'll tell you what, we got a secret weapon, and you're just lucky that you ended the session when you did, because otherwise the 4 of us would have used our god beams to shoot these guys in that. Black Shield Baron? Puh. But yes, it has been a delight. Thank you for everyone who has come in to watch, and thank you for everyone who donated. It's a delight and a pleasure.
I have the power of God and anime on my side.
Yeah. Well, I'm Zach, and we have Brother Dunwin here with all kinds of worldly things, mixing it up into the abbot. And I think you're right, Thomas. We really do need to get on the parapets and dump the boiling holy water. I think that's going to be a good first move for this army out there.
Indeed.
But I think Bob pretty much announced everything as far as I'm involved in. So we're good on that front. I can't wait to see when we get to fighting the demons with our bare hands or something, that we're moving into with the sticks nonsense.
I did pick the Hammer of God merit, so I do ag damage with my fists.
Oh, good.
Yeah, I wonder if you boil holy water, does it become holy steam? Can you bottle that and use that somehow? I don't know.
Interesting.
Alrighty. Well, thank you guys, everybody, again for donating us with Open Gates. Please check out our other shows, and we will see you guys next Sunday for part 2 of Open the Gates. I've been Liam. I'm GMing this time. I'm a regular player in Bob's Sunday games, and I will appear in other things as well. I have ordained it. Goodbye, everybody. Get some rest. We'll probably raid out.
We're going to just hang out in the BRB screen until we find someone to raid out to. Just hang around here, and we'll pass the love on to our friends. Thanks for watching, y'all. Talk to you later.
Bye-bye.
Farewell.
All right.